Okay, welcome back to the Real Guy Garage. So we are back working on the 1987 S10, and I'll show you what we are dealing with today. Okay, so there is our cab, and you'll notice it doesn't have a windshield in it anymore. Finally got around to pulling that out. So what we're going to do is we're going to deal with this mess. So this piece here we don't have, so we're going to have to make that. I'm going to see if I can cut that piece out of a truck in the junkyard, because that would save us a lot of work, because there's a lot of compound curves and stuff to that. And then this, we of course have a reproduction floor pan to put in. So we can work with that anyway. Probably gonna have to make a few other little pieces here. I was just looking, so the seat support here, it's pooched. This one's studs broke off in the floor. That's actually a seatbelt bolt that we're gonna have to try and get out of the floor. What else? Oh, down here in the bottom of the kick panel, we'll have to make a piece to go in there. So we got a bit of work ahead of us here. I also got to go around. This truck had a visor on it, right? So I got to clean and weld all these screw holes from where they were. We got to finish taking all this garbage off, and then we got to get all this undercoating stuff off. This fender bracket is intact. This one is, well, not, so we have to fix that. It's also a little bit thin here down at the bottom, so I kind of don't like that, so we may end up fixing this as well. And we also will have to plug up this hole here, I think. I'm gonna have to check, because this is an 82 cab, and 82 has a mechanical clutch. I will show you something else that I found out as well. Okay, so we got 3 sets of clutch pedals here, right? Starting from the left is the original set of clutch pedals from my 1987 cab. Now they are manual brake, hydraulic clutch. The ones next to it are the ones from this black and red cab, which are 82 and 83 style. They are power brake, manual clutch, so mechanical, you know, they use a cable. And then the ones next to it are from a 91, so they are power brake, hydraulic clutch. Now what I found out is that set of pedals there were used from 1988 to 1993. This set in the middle were used 82 and 83 only. And this set here were used from 1984 to 1987. Now, the reason that there's a change is they actually changed the firewall and everything in this area on the 1988 and up trucks, as well as the 2 sides of the frame that would be right here and right here where it kind of kicks out. They're kind of moved over a little bit on the later trucks, and that was because of the addition of the 4.3 liter V6. It's a little bit wider engine than the 60 degree 2.8 liter, so they had to make a little more room, and by doing so they actually had to move the steering column over a little bit. And in doing so, because of where the pedals and everything mount here, they had to kind of move all this stuff around, so it's actually a little bit different. So I, of course, am going to be using power brakes with a hydraulic clutch. So I guess what I'm going to end up having to do is, we can't really use this set at all, but we should be able to take these 2 sets and take the power brake stuff from this one and put it onto this one here, which has manual brakes, or vice versa, or between the 2 of them we can make one that'll be functional for what we need. This one here I will actually probably end up giving to a friend of mine, Ryan, who actually he's the one that sold me this S10. But he has a 1989 Chevy S10 Cameo. So that was a picture of his truck. Now the Cameo, very interesting trucks. I believe there was only 137 built, or converted I should say, because they were done by an outside conversion company in 1989. So a very rare truck, but he would like to have 3 pedals in it. So we'll end up, he can take that set of pedals and use those for his truck. Okay, so usually the first thing I'll do on a project like this, where I'm not going to be making the floor pans, but I've actually got a panel to work with, is I will take the reproduction panel and I'm going to lay it in place so I can see how far back it comes, how far up it comes, basically just get an idea of the footprint of the replacement panel so I know what I have to work with. So let's get to doing that. Okay, so that gets us kind of an idea. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go in with the grinder and I'm going to cut out the parts that we know are rotten that for sure we're not going to be using. And then that way we can sort of fit this panel a little bit more. It's an aftermarket panel, so no matter what we do, there's going to be trimming and fitting required. Okay, so with all that cut out, I left this part because this is where the floor support is in the truck. Well, I shouldn't say floor support, it's actually the cab mount. Now we can take and let's see if this fits any better. Okay, I can see where part of the problem is right here. That's got to get cut off. So let me do that and we'll fit it again. Okay, so that's our panel trimmed up a little bit. Like I said, I took a bit off this side here, and then I took just the front lip off here where it comes up to the firewall. So what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of mess around here and decide where exactly everything's going to fit. I have to take a little bit more off this edge here, and then it should kind of slide into place a little bit better, and then we can start trimming the outside of it off. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come up in here and we're going to try and remove what's left of the old floor pan from the cab mount that's right here, and we'll make any repairs we need to that cab mount. Okay, so at this point I've trimmed it up enough that it's kind of sitting where we want it to, right? So we can kind of get an idea of what we're going to be doing here. So I got to decide where we want to cut this pan up at the front here. And there's a reason for that. You can see that I'm not really worried about it being visible because it really won't be by the time the repair is finished. But at the moment, I got to make some decisions, right? So I'm thinking that what we're going to end up doing is we're going to come up here and we'll cut this pan to about here, and we'll come down with it. Anything that's in the transmission tunnel, I don't really care because you'll never see it. I mean, the chances of you seeing this anyway are very slim to none. So we'll do that. Okay, so after a lot of grinding, cutting, cleaning, fitting, this is where we're at. So the pan fits not too bad. You'll notice up in the corner here, I did cut off too much, so we'll have to screw around and fix that. But you'll see down here, I've taken and drilled out so that we can plug weld everything back to the body mount. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and take the pan out like that, and we'll go ahead and weld through prime the back of the pan and the top of this body mount here. And then we can start working on making this patch here because it has to go in before we put our floor in. Okay, so as I mentioned, we need to tackle this portion right here. So what I started with was I took a piece of cardstock or Bristol board, whatever you want to call it, and I've made a template of what we need to replace. So what I then did was transfer the template to a piece of steel, and I've got it coated with some weld through primer. So while that dries, I'll go ahead and cut this out, and I also will weld up a couple of spots where I screwed up cutting things. And then we'll be ready to move on to our next step. Okay, so that is our patch welded in there. Now I'm not going to finish any of those welds or anything yet. We'll go ahead and we'll get our floor pan in first, and then we'll start the finishing process. Okay, so at this point we're ready to start putting Humpty Dumpty back together again here. So I got a wide variety of different vice grips and stuff, and they work pretty well on stuff like this. Yeah, there's other ways of doing it, of course. I just find this way the easiest myself, but you know, do whatever it is that's easiest for you. Okay, so after a little bit more welding here, let's see, we have a floor pan, and I did make a piece to come in here, and I'm not too particularly worried about how it looks on the other side here, because really you only see what is above this line on the truck ever, unless you're underneath it working. So I'll be the only person that sees this, and as it is, I'll grind all this down, I'll clean it all up, and I'll fix it up a bit more and it'll look okay. Okay, so that is our floor pan installed and the bottom of the kick panel repaired on the cab. So the next thing we're gonna have to do is fix the outside of the firewall on the bottom driver's corner, and we'll have to fix the transmission tunnel where that section's cut out. But in order to do that, we're gonna have to get some metal. I was looking, I don't have any sheet metal left apparently, but I got thinking about it, and the last time I bought sheet metal was 2017, so I guess that's a good enough reason. So anyway, thank you for watching, and hopefully we see you next week.